1988. Bad Brains, Murphy's Law, Super Touch at the Ritz. I think Token Entry played that too. That's a great first show. I had gotten into hardcore through the Misfits, and I was, a little kid buying records. And then I had an older cousin. Technically, I probably shouldn't have been there, but he somehow got me in because I was begging to go to see the Bad Brains. I had Eye Against Eye. So that was my first show, and it, kind of changed my life, 1988. Everybody says Seabees, and I love Seabees too. I'm glad I got to go there a lot of times. Wetlands was great, Coney Island was great, but I'll have to say there's two that I miss that I don't really hear too much in the questions. One was ABC No Rio, and one is Bond Street. And for a while, I remember Seabees kind of stopped doing shows for a little bit, like matinees, and those two places kind of took over. ABC had more of like, you go see like Citizen's Arrest and Rorschach played there, and those kind of bands. It was a little bit more like dirty DIY. Not that Bond Street wasn't, but Bond Street had more of like the New York bands at that time. Yuppie Side, Fear of Life, Blind Side, Standoff, Mind Over Matter, Shift played there every week. Marauder, Orange 9mm's first early show. So that place was a big, I would try to go every week to that place. I miss that place. I'm gonna have to, of course, like, John Watson was before my time, and, I've seen the videos, but I wasn't around then. And Ratbones, I've been around Ratbones, and he's great. But I'm gonna say one guy that I've only heard one other person say, Ryan from Ache mentioned him, and I'm gonna say Julian from Standoff, and, which became Stillsuit. If you were around in the early 90s, you definitely noticed him. He was a ball of energy, caused a lot of commotion at shows. He's short, like my height, but you could be like 6 feet tall and like he'd jump over you and spin around. And I got 2 scars over my eyes, and one of them is from him. Not on purpose, because we're friends, but he whacked me. I think I remember talking with Mike Gallo once, and he was just like, yeah, if you were at a show back then, you got hit by Julian. Hey, best dancer on a trampoline. Because I remember one show in particular, 108 Shelter, Bad Trip, Mouthpiece and Engine at the Bank. I think it was 93. Bad Trip brought out a trampoline, and Julian, yeah, pretty amazing. But yeah, Julian from Stillsuit. I go back, and there's a lot of great bands I did get to see, but I wasn't around in that kind of first wave of hardcore. So I got to see Bad Brains later on, like I was saying, but I wish that I got to see them in that 80, like I watched the videos of them in CBs and how amazing that looked, and I wish I got to see them. I wish I got to see Minor Threat, but the biggest for me is probably any of those old Misfit shows. I got to see them, now with the original Misfits, but being a huge Misfits and Danzig fan, I just wish I got to see any of those shows. They had a lot of attitude, and they were the first band that got me into hardcore, so any of those early Misfit shows I wish I could have seen. Mackie and Earl are a given, because everybody says them, and I have to agree. They're pretty amazing, but I'm gonna say, so we're gonna put them on the side because they are in there, but for me, I would say Chuck Biscuits. I could watch that guy play drums all day long. His stuff in the Circle Jerks, and being a Danzig fan, he was a drummer in Danzig too. Mario Rubalcaba, he is the drummer in Off, and he also drummed in 411 with Dan O'Mahony, and he did some time in Rocket from the Crypt, Hot Snakes. Great drummer. And Brandon Pertzborn, who played in like a newer version of Black Flag. He was Doyle's drummer for the solo Doyle stuff. And then when that Misfit show happened in Jersey,
Suicidal.
Yeah, he played for Suicidal, and he fucking killed it. That guy's a beast. I don't think a lot of people think about him in that terms, but he's playing with hardcore bands, so I would say him. As far as the sound, as my sound, like the way that I sing in Kaiju Daisenso, definitely John Brannon from Negative Approach, Cal from Discharge, Jerry A from Poison Idea. But my biggest influences as vocalists and frontmen would be Glenn Danzig, Ian Mackay, HR, and I have to give props to Jimmy Gestapo as a frontman, because that guy can play in front of a crowd, whether it's 100 or in front of a crowd like the Misfits in a Prudential Center, and win them over. We're keeping busy and staying creative right now. We've got a new EP coming out next year with this band called Oxygen Destroyer from Washington. They're a death metal band that's Kaiju fans as well. We have a song that's coming out on a New York comp. And then we're writing a new record already too. We're demoing stuff. And then, you know, we just put out a video called Green Gargantua from our last record. And hopefully we'll get to play some shows when things get better. Sure, there's a lot of new, I'm always checking out new stuff. There's a band out of Chicago, I just bought a demo called Chew, like Chew food. They're female fronted, brutal, real heavy. I love the fact that it's a girl and she's harder than most guys, it's really intense. I like Ache a lot. They're not brand new, but they're a newer band. Herjaza is a band from Staten Island. Real brutal. It's got members from Most Precious Blood. Great band. Yeah, I'd say those bands I've been listening to. Stay off your fucking phones. I've had the same job for like 25 years now, and I can't tell you how much, like when I deal with people on a day-to-day basis, people are socially like moronic now, and I think everybody's so like laboratory rats, and they have their head buried in a fucking phone. There's no social interaction anymore. People don't know how to like talk. So, take the time to go out and like hang out outside and like talk to people, and and then as far as music goes, support bands right now. That's a big thing because everybody's going through some hard times. But streaming has its purposes and it's great, but buy physical music, buy a record, buy a shirt. When you buy a shirt, the money that a band is getting from that goes way further than any amount of streaming on fucking Spotify or anything like that. Absolutely not. We're doing this right now, and every week I listen to the A7 live show, and like there's people from around the world that are tuning in, and this music changed my life. I might not be as involved as I was because my life is different now in my mid-40s than it was when I was a teenager, but I'll always be connected and involved. And it's just, there's nothing but positivity for me that's come, and I think for a lot of people. And as long as there's new bands and kids that are pissed off and starting bands and playing, then it'll never die. It's worldwide now, so it's great.